In the midst of this fast-paced life, there is one thing that always brings peace: the beauty of nature and simple adventures. This morning, I will take you on a journey that is full of simplicity, but no less interesting. We will hunt snails in a rice field that is being planted with young rice. Hunting snails is an activity full of challenges and patience, especially when we walk on muddy ground like this. Every step must be careful so as not to sink deeper. This sticky mud can sometimes make us feel like we are drowning in the atmosphere. This rice field is in its early stages. The young rice growing green gives a cool and peaceful impression. The snails that we hunt often hide around the rice stalks, hiding in the deep mud. We have to be more careful and patient in looking for them. These snails are not easy to find. They are smart in hiding. However, for those who know how, such as traditional farmers, hunting snails is a common thing. Snails, in addition to being a source of nutritious protein, also help maintain the balance of the ecosystem in the rice fields. Interesting, isn't it? Sometimes, in hunting snails, we don't just get the catch. More than that, we get laughter, togetherness, and memories. Sometimes, this mud can really bring us down, but there's nothing more fun than hunting with friends or family. Finally, after some time searching, we managed to collect quite a lot of snails. A small achievement that made today feel more meaningful. These snails will be delicious food, but the journey and the excitement of the hunt are the most valuable. This rice field is still young, the newly grown rice challenging the sky, giving a calming green nuance. But there is one thing to note: these snails, the young rice eaters, continue to breed in this land. They hide under the mud, exploring the stalks of rice that are starting to grow, looking for food, and destroying the plants that we hope will grow well. These snails love young rice. They eat away at the tender stalks of rice, making them a pest that can ruin the harvest. Therefore, hunting snails here is not just about finding something to eat or sell, but also part of the effort to keep the rice plants growing well. Of course, we also know that these snails have a role in the rice field ecosystem, helping to clean up organic waste. However, when there are too many of them, they can be a problem. After a few minutes of searching, I finally found them. These snails are really good at hiding. With their slippery skin and hard shells, they seem unfazed even when we dig through their soil. There is something special about digging through mud like this, a kind of triumphant feeling when your hands finally find a hidden snail. After a few hours of hunting, we finally collected quite a few snails. Some are for the ducks at home, and the rest we can make into a delicious dish. Although simple, these snails taste very good when cooked with traditional spices. Not only are they beneficial for the ducks, but they also bring a special taste to the dinner table. The ducks at home couldn't wait to enjoy our catch. These snails, besides being able to be cooked into a dish, are also nutritious food for them. Seeing the ducks enjoy the snails with gusto made all this effort feel very worthwhile. In the midst of our daily hustle and bustle, sometimes we need to feel the peace of simpler activities. This activity always brings me back to old memories, the atmosphere in a vast rice field, with careful steps through the muddy ground, and trying to find snails that like to hide behind the mud. The ground is still wet, just watered, or maybe it rained last night. The slippery and sticky mud adds to the challenge. But that's what makes snail hunting so interesting. It's not just about the results we bring home, but also about the patience and precision required. These snails, they like to hide in the mud, looking for a quiet and protected place. As soon as we set foot in this rice field, we know that the hunt has begun. They are good at hiding under deep layers of mud. Sometimes, when we start digging with our fingers, it feels like we're looking for hidden treasures. However, there is something I have to be careful about. Sometimes, when I am too hasty, my fingers can get hurt. The hard shell of the snail, if touched roughly, can easily cut my fingertips. It may be only a little, but the pain is enough to remind me to be more careful. My fingers often get cut while hunting these snails. Every time I dip my hand into the cold mud, hoping to find a big, fat snail, I'm often surprised to find my fingertip cut by the snail's shell. It feels like a little warning from nature that the snails we hunt are not creatures that can be easily tamed. They have their own defenses, and sometimes I have to accept the fact that the hunt doesn't always go smoothly. But, even though I often get hurt, I never give up. These snails are still interesting. They have their own charm, whether it is to be used as duck feed at home, or simply taken home to enjoy their deliciousness on the dining table. Every little wound I experience seems to be part of this adventure, a long journey that is not always easy, but always brings its own pleasure. After some searching and many injuries, I finally found them. The snails hiding in the mud, with their hard, slippery shells. A small victory, but it felt very meaningful. With slightly injured hands, I held the snails carefully, knowing that although they were difficult enemies to conquer, they were also part of life to be appreciated. And so, the snail hunting adventure in the young rice fields ended. Although sometimes there were small wounds that accompanied the journey, everything felt more meaningful. Every scratch on the finger, every careful step, all became part of an unforgettable memory. Maybe this is a simple thing, but for me, this is life. There are always challenges, there are always difficulties, but behind it all, there is happiness that cannot be measured by anything else. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. See you again, on the next adventure, in a place full of simple stories that are no less valuable.